Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen, Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another jam-packed daily market update. There has been some price action shenanigans taking place over the past 24 hours. You guys, and I know you do, pay attention to your portfolios and your various applications and check on them far more than you should. Would have noticed yesterday that the market started to climb quite nicely, only to be harshly slammed down. Now, in doing this, there's been around $839 million worth of liquidations. And this slam down has been associated on the smaller time frames with a whale wallet selling 24,000 Bitcoin at a $2.9 billion valuation. This caused that kind of flash crash that the cryptocurrency space saw after climbing quite nicely. They still hold another $17 billion worth of Bitcoin, and people are potentially relating this to them selling for Bitcoin to move into Ethereum. And we have said that trend towards alt season, which is signaled by where BTC dominance is, signaled by what you're seeing companies do, ETF flows in regards to a shift to the altcoin sector, starting with Ethereum, and then it will trickle down more widely. And that's a good risk-on environment. I think I did on my Patreons an update yesterday where we looked at the IWM, which is the Russell 2000 smaller cap stocks versus the S&P 500. I think the IWM is going to start making moves, being smaller cap stocks against the larger cap ones, which shows a good economic environment ahead of us, which we expect based on the work we've done on the S&P. And you can derive that from small caps actually outperforming bigger caps, showing an increased appetite for risk, which only comes in a good economic environment. And I think at the moment, unfortunately, when it comes to the cryptocurrency space, you've just got to contend with August, September. Typically two not so good months for the cryptocurrency space, but markets more broadly. Despite that, Ethereum actually having the best Q3 it's ever had so far, which is interesting. So we're going to look at the sort of manipulation, or what people are calling manipulation. It's explainable with this sort of whale wallet. Markets are unfortunately manipulated. All markets. This is the way the world works. Nirvana is not for this world. And when people can take advantage of something, in my experience, they often do. And when you have gullible retail investors that are being promoted to leverage trade by shameless content creators that make money actually off of these people's demises, and we have a sheet, or I was given a sheet that has a lot of people's names on it in regards to people that are, and how much they're earning off of actually fee generation from these exchanges. Maybe we talk about that one day. Why people are leverage trading really makes no sense to me. And we'll start there. Then we're going to get into some interesting things taking place. Lots coming out about MicroStrategy at the moment, and people worried about it. And there was a report from the Wall Street Journal that we're going to look at. We'll talk about how Galaxy Jump and Multicoin are looking to launch a Solana treasury firm. And then we'll talk about what VanEck have now introduced with 100% liquid staking token ETF. It's interesting, ETFs and what crypto ETFs may have to offer over alternative ones. And then we'll look at all the XRP filings. So yesterday, and let's maybe dive over to a nice Bitcoin chart. You guys all know the big term plan. The markets were doing quite well, certainly on the evening. And then what we saw, we'll probably show this better through Ethereum. And then ultimately what we saw was we saw this rally last night, and then we saw a major slam down. You can kind of see this on Bitcoin. You had this kind of a rally and then a major slam down. And this was ultimately caused, this was obviously on the Friday's Fed price action. This was ultimately caused or linked to be caused by a Bitcoin whale. So just in, a Bitcoin whale sold 24,000 BTC worth over $2.7 billion, causing today's 4,000 crash in minutes. I mean, it literally did take place in not a long period of time whatsoever. They're referring to this. It took place at about 9 or 8 p.m. UK time. You can see it was 14,000. It traded all the way down to 11. And that's been linked to one single entity selling $2.7 billion worth of Bitcoin. And allegedly, they still hold 152,000 BTC worth more than 17 billion. With this, what you saw was really a cascade of liquidations. I have no idea why people are getting liquidated or leverage trading crypto. Who looks at the crypto space and goes, it's not volatile enough, I want more volatility? and I want to basically risk all my capital by introducing leverage. There's a few people out there who I see literally opening with like 75x leverage trades. It's madness, in my opinion, what's being promoted. And if there's one thing at all I want people to take away from this, more so than any of what we're reporting on, it's to not leverage trade crypto. You're only going to hurt yourself and the people around you, and it really shouldn't be done. But this whale address obviously has caused liquidations, which has caused cascade. The markets don't really have a savior ahead of them in terms of any economic data that might sway things, or given where we are seasonally in August, September, you're just going to have to ride out the summer doldrums, and we will get out the other side of it. And Bitcoin is clearly destined for higher price action. On the short term, you're just going to have to survive these 2 months. And I think we've got a great economic sort of forecast ahead of us, which we've looked at. There was some speculation. So this is from Jacob King. It says, just in, Bitcoin flash crash today, which wiped out $310 million in long positions, has been traced to a single Bitcoin whale dumping BTC for Ethereum. The whale sold 24,000 Bitcoin, including coins that hadn't moved in 5 years, sending 12,000 BTC today alone to Hyperunit trading platform. They sold 18,000 BTC worth $2 billion so far, and are in the process of dumping the remaining 6 billion or 6,000 BTC worth 670 million. Most of the money is being moved into ETH, 2 billion bought and 1.3 billion staked. And this is the wallet address that's sort of caused all those liquidations and of course the flash crash that took place. Please don't trade leverage. I don't know what narrative the markets have right now on the shorter time frame. You're just going to have to sort of roll with it and get through the summer doldrums and focus on that bigger picture, I'm afraid, guys. And don't leverage trade. There's been a lot of talk about MicroStrategy, or strategy as it's now called. I actually see it going to around about $900 personally. And I think people are wrong thus far on it collapsing, but maybe right in the future. It says, by buying strategy, new shareholders are overpaying for Bitcoin. They could easily buy the crypto for themselves directly or via an ETF, 35% cheaper. The much touted rise in Bitcoin per share happens because it exploits investors' willingness to overpay for strategy shares. Strategy's strategy is in effect trading against its new shareholders. This unusual approach can only work so long as investors' demand for the idea exceed the supply of shares from strategy and its copycats. The premium has already dropped a lot as it has exploited by strategy, as it has been exploited by strategy. And if it disappears, the whole approach comes to an end. They go on to say, but when there is an alternative or a way to arbitrage the stock against the asset, it is much harder to get a premium since investors are generally unwilling to overpay. As Owen Lamont, a portfolio manager at Arcadian Asset Management, points out, crypto treasury stocks are usual candidates to trade at a premium. Unusual candidates to trade at a premium because there is no barrier to buying the underlying crypto they own. This phenomenon violates every principle of finance, he said. Before, people had to complicate things to bamboozle investors. Now they can just do it simply. Oof. And I personally think there's a great short out of MicroStrategy at some point. I think people have tried that thus far. I think they're going to continue to try it. I could see it getting to about $900. And technically we potentially have plausibility for that. But eventually I do think it makes a great short because the emperor at some point realizes he has no clothes on. Until then, we're going to ride treasury strategies up. Talking about treasury strategies or treasury companies, Galaxy Jump and Multicoin seek $1 billion to create Solana treasury firm. We're yet to see a wave of these take place. And this is going to be another sort of buy side introduced into the cryptocurrency space to the tune of billions. I do actually own an ETH treasury strategy company that's doing well for us. We're like 50% up since we got into it. I will probably be looking to add to that. Do become a Patreon and find out what I own. This is from Nate Garcia talking about Solana. Vanek files for 100% liquid staking token ETF. Jito Sol ETF. If new to crypto, don't let the name fool you. This is simply a spot Solana ETF with some potential benefits. The SEC clarifies certain liquid staking tokens are not securities a few weeks ago. Was huge for this. So you'll essentially be able to, I don't really know what they're going to do with the Solana, maybe offer it you in terms of what's generated by it being staked. This is something that crypto ETFs are going to really offer investors that perhaps the traditional markets don't, or certain traditional assets don't. I know you have dividends and things like this, but if you can get stake or kind of ETFs that leverage the DeFi space to give a yield, that's a very interesting sort of perspective or prospect for people looking to invest in asset classes. And crypto has every reason to attract a hell of a lot of money. Talking about ETFs, bunch of XRP filings being updated by the issuers today, almost certainly due for feedback from the SEC. Good sign, but also expected. We'll see. I think towards the back end of this year, you're going to get a wave of ETF approvals. I think once we get August, September, the summer doldrums out the way of, it's all systems going. You want to be holding on for that, and certainly the markets look technically perfect. Fundamentally, there's every reason to expect what's coming to take place. It's just a case of riding out the day-to-day volatility and understanding the bigger picture, which is what we try and lead on. Don't trade leverage. Like I say, it's a real shame that people promote crypto leverage. They do it for their own benefit that ultimately comes on the back end of your demise. Do take that into consideration with who you open your ears up to. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.